Hey, what up, guys? It is your favorite Asian robot. Today, I'm going to cover up the patch notes that are coming. 1.84 basically contains a lot of buffs and nerfs, and I'm going to go through that. Frostwolf event, I'll cover tomorrow after it comes in, because we're also going to have a look in-game at all the stuff, alright, tomorrow. Ostian Winter Event Pass, nobody cares about this, because it's a waste of money. I mean, you really want the stuff, you can go get it, but it's a waste of money to me. Okay, and sorry, Dauntless, but you still haven't come up with anything good enough that makes me want to buy this stuff and support you. But thank you for the content. Okay, please introduce a new weapon. We've been asking for ages. Thank you. All right, Frostwolf. This is a cool update. This is a cool part of the update, I should say. The Deep Frost Embermane is now a unique behemoth called the Frostwolf. All right, they have their own unique set of armor and weapons. But here's the thing: the unique effect of the Frostwolf is amazeballs. Why? The Skarn UE gives you 175 shields, and that's all it does. This one deals damage. Now, it has the same trigger, so it's like a better version of the Skarn's UE. It deals damage and gives you a stackable 125 health shield that lasts for 25 seconds. All right. So trigger your shields as much as possible, and you basically will be able to keep getting shields. So same as the Skarn UE, just that, you know, now you've got a geyser that also does damage. So I would say that this is going to change on Bastion. On top of that, here's another change that's going to put Bastion front and center. There's a new Fortitude perk called Aegis. Aegis will increase all shields received by up to 20% at +6. All right, and after gaining 1,000 shields, you get to ignore the next incoming hit within 15 seconds. This is pretty beautiful. You know, I like it. So me personally, I'm pretty excited to have Aegis going around. All right, I'm the way I'm seeing it, I think that this might be pretty fantastic. But you know, I'm happy with it. If it's as good as I think it's gonna be, then this will also be a big help to Bastion. I'm looking forward to it. Now, in terms of balance, the frozen status is replaced by chilled, so there's no more freezing. All right. The warm cell now affects chilled instead of frozen. Okay. Urska's legendary ability can block beams from the Drask Rezakiri. This was a, I mean, not that we would use it for that, but you know, it's a nice change, because sometimes you just happen to be behind a shield and a Thunder D Drask one-shots you through it. Okay, now it can block. Now here is a major nerf. The Pangar weapon's Frostbrand damage when power surged has now dropped from 3,000 to 2,500. This is a major nerf. All Pangar weapons invalid now. I'm not going to say that they're super bad, but they're going to be pretty terrible in comparison to what you used to have. So there's going to be changes to Frost-based builds. In terms of the Phalanx weapon's missile damage, all right, it has been increased again, but it's still a trash UE, because you haven't fixed the base problem of it triggering every time you dodge, which means that even if you dodge with 0 missile stacks, it triggers and you lose your UE. That's not how a UE works. Okay, please fix that. Either make the cooldown 5 seconds, or make it so that it only triggers when you reach 4 missiles. Because in order to maximize your damage, you need your 4 missiles. And if you trigger any time before that, and dodging is so necessary in this game, if you trigger any time before that, that's gone. So that's still not going to make me use a Phalanx weapon, FYI. All right, Aether Strikers. Now these are the individual weapon changes. Some of them are positive, some of them are negative. First of all, Aether Strikers, positive across the board. The Boreas Aether Strikers will continuously generate frost sprites for 6 seconds after surging. This gives me an idea for a Tempest Boreas hybrid style frost striker build, which could be very good. I don't know. I'm going to test it out in the future. They've decreased the number of hits required to reach the Karabakh unique effect. All right, this is helpful, but Terra with Karabakh has never been used except in certain trials, so still helpful. The Charog decrease for the unique effect stamina threshold from 100 to 75 means that it's much easier to trigger the Charog's UE. And this has implications for Blaze builds, because the Charog UE could actually be helpful. That is something else that I would like to see. So Aether Strikers, well worth testing. Axe, nerfed across the board. Why? Because Pangar's UE has decreased. Pangar Axe, no longer as cool. Anyway, Koshai was the best axe. So Koshai and Chronivore with Revenant, or Koshai with the Discipline, these were the best axes. Now you've got a potential change in Boreas, but changing the frost sprites from 1 to 2, I don't know if that's going to be useful. Remains to be seen. Legit remains to be seen. So this one, I'll put it in the maybe slot. But the Pangar change was a major nerf for the axe, so I'm very, very annoyed with that. Okay, chain blades. Increased blade spin walk speed, so okay, that helps a little bit. The number of hits required to trigger Hellion effects and the decrease of Hellion damage. This is a major nerf to the Hellion chain blades, so my easy build is probably going to have to be refreshed again. There's a decrease in the number of hits required to reach the Karabakh unique effect. So this might actually be helpful, but I'll have to see. And it also comes down to the this also comes down to the Frostwolf's unique effect. So the easy build may involve the Frostwolf and Bastion to create a very strong and potent crit build for the easy build instead of using the Hellion, which was previously used. So that change is going to come to chain blades. But in terms of the Karabakh change, that's positive in my opinion. Okay, hammer. They've increased the number of sprites generated by Boreas' unique effect after spending ammo from 1 to 2. This could be very helpful for the hammer, but it would go against an adrenaline style hammer because you're priming mostly to reduce your stamina so that adrenaline takes effect. So this change to the Boreas would be a buff, but it may need some work in terms of playstyle. I'm not quite sure how best to fit the playstyle around it, but I'll figure something out because this buff here is actually quite major. It's actually quite a useful buff, to be fair. But here is the biggest buff for the hammer, decreasing the Charog's UE stamina threshold from 125 to 50. This is going to make my Charog hammer, I think, very popular because this is going to come out soon. That is something I'm looking at in terms of a Tempest hammer. So some of you have seen on stream my Savate hammer build that is going to come out. This Tempest hammer, this Charog hammer, maybe a close competitor, maybe. It still remains to be seen how that's going to function, but I can certainly say I'm very interested to see how potent the UE effect is going to be and whether or not I can completely destroy behemoths with that. I want to see it in action, so I'm looking forward to that. Okay, sword. Keen Edge is a mod, all right? This one, I don't really care about this. Decreasing the number of hits for Karabakh is a major buff. Now, this is a major nerf. The reduction to the Boreas unique effect sprite generation rate, it means that the spin to win is now invalidated and the easy build is also invalidated. So the sword easy build will have to be refreshed along with the sword's endgame build for spin to win because yeah, the Boreas unique effect being altered is terrible. That is absolutely terrible, and I am just so sad about it. Well, goodbye to the Boreas sword. So the Hellion sword will now probably be the ultimate. For the Charog unique effect, this doesn't really affect the sword much because the sword was never really an adrenaline style weapon. So this change, although helpful, doesn't really change much about the sword. So mostly it's this change that will affect the DPS of the sword. So that's gonna alter spin to win builds basically. Repeaters, they've decreased the number of hits required to reach the Karabakh unique effect. Okay, and decreased the Charog stamina unique effect, but these two were never really used on repeaters, so neither of them will affect repeaters much, so repeaters carry on the same. War Pike. Okay, there are some major nerfs here. Okay, there are some things that look like a buff, but they're actually nerfs, and I'm gonna explain them now. Executioner Spearhead now triggers on wounding assist. If you played solo, this never affected you anyway, so it doesn't matter. Now, the Executioner Spearhead's bonus damage has gone up from 6 to 8%. So this is a so-called buff, but the duration is now 45 seconds instead of 2 minutes. This means you can't really run around the map from now on with 60% perma damage bonus, which drastically lowers the effectiveness of wounding builds in terms of how much damage you can stack. Now, wounding builds are still going to be valid, but they're no longer as strong, which is sad. And the max stacks is now 5. So when fighting a behemoth, you could reach effectively 40% for 45 seconds. Then after it ends, basically you're reset for the next behemoth. So this to me is a bit of an annoying change. I'm not too happy with it because this is a major nerf for the War Pike. A very big nerf. Also, they've nerfed the Hellion on the War Pike, but that never really bothered me, so I don't really care about that. However, they have decreased the Charog unique effect stamina threshold from 125 to 75. This is quite a buff, so perhaps the new go-to for the War Pike would be a Blaze style, utilizing Tempest for the faster attack speed and to drain stamina faster, and possibly with a Charog UE. So you would avoid wounding except to increase your attack speed, and then just basically go ham with that. Now that is something that I'm thinking about, considering it in my mind. I'm still in a way very disappointed with this change to Execution of Spearhead, but I don't know why they want to ruin it, but I guess they, okay, fine, whatever, go ahead and do that. The Frostwolf changes, well, nothing much here that's gonna drastically change things for you. So I will not cover this. Quill shot, okay. The Enrage Homing Quill attack is no longer a damage threshold interrupt. It's now a normal interrupt, which means you should be able to interrupt it as long as you smack the head. Okay, so, and they've made the change that it's only interruptible by attacking its head. Okay, all good. Nasher, the Nasher Slapshot attack now hits twice, once during initial slam and once during the tail swipe. Okay. Rezakiri, slightly increase the amount of damage required to wound the Rezakiri's tail. Okay, these barely have any effect. During Frostfall, certain island events will appear less because, you know, they want more Frostfall events to occur. Benson themed stuff will now make beautiful ram noises. Okay, that's cool. Music and UI are more clearly heard when playing with 3D audio enabled. Nice. Okay, Repeater Reticle now has 2 states. One shows damage fall off when aiming at a target. The other shows empowered reload availability if near any behemoth, not just the one being aimed at. Okay, fair enough. When a player has more than +6 in a perk, a new UI element will appear to inform them that the perk is capped. No more +9 Aether Hunter. Sure, I mean, I guess if people would like that. I mean, occasionally I made that mistake, but that's not a big or necessary change, so it doesn't matter. Blah, 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 blah. Quests, this is just a quality of life upgrade. Okay, behemoths no longer freeze up during combat when near walls. Some people used to exploit this, now they cannot. Good. Godhand Beam, Warpike missiles, Molten Edict projectiles, Hammer Blasts, Repeater projectiles, and Aether Striker surges now properly trigger the Berserker perk. This is very useful because previously surges did not count towards Berserker. If the surges would count towards Pulse as well, I'd be very happy. But anyway, this is a buff to these weapons. Okay, especially for the God Hand, because it actually makes Berserker somewhat viable on this. And that is actually a helpful buff to the beam. So that's good. And I'm very happy about the Aether Striker Surge. They seem to be getting quite a few buffs this time, so I'm honestly looking forward to it. I think this might be good. Terra Behemoth debuff effect will only generate healing orbs when the behemoth affected by the debuff is hit. Alright, so this is a slight change. They fixed a bug where hits could sometimes count twice toward the Karabak's unique effect. Okay, never really used it, so it didn't matter. Chainblades, no more auto trigger when holding the heavy attack input. Lol, I didn't even know about this exploit. Good that they fixed it. Fixed issues with the Serrated Blades mod, activating too frequently and applying a bonus to all wound damage. Okay. Chronivore changes. Alright. Koshide tails now properly disappear after being severed. Okay. Rezakiri's tail now counts for all tail-based challenges. Okay. The Chronivore Vortex... Sorry, I went back to read this. The Chronivore Vortex no longer affects players outside the combat arena. Didn't even know that was a problem. Improve collision boundaries so players can no longer pass through the beam. Okay, that one doesn't matter. Now, Savate changes. No longer gets stuck when trying to run. No longer appears in Terror Escalation. Okay. No longer counts as a neutral behemoth. Alright, these two bugs, I just assumed that because it was a general behemoth rather than a variant, it could appear in Terror Escalation, but sure, fine. No longer gets stuck when trying to run. Okay. Poor thing. I didn't even know about any of these because I always crushed them. Hunting Grounds. Frost Escalation Paradox breaks. No longer have flashing VFX bugs. Okay, great. But they've been re-enabled for a while, so okay. Guaranteed Behemoth will keep on spawning on the island after they've fled. To be honest, a Behemoth hasn't fled for me in a long time. So, okay. That one doesn't matter to me. Quests, updated various rumor objectives, blah, blah, blah. Killing Shroud, clones no longer counts toward Behemoth kill objectives, okay. Ponytail no longer flickers. Lanterns overcharged no longer overrides transmog, blah, 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 blah. Okay. UI changes I don't really care about, and performance fixed a crash that could occur at login screen. Okay, that's everything. So, in conclusion for this whole thing, basically there are a lot of buffs and nerfs coming to the weapons, and some builds are going to have to be rejigged, they're going to have to be redone. I will probably work on that ASAP. I'm looking forward to putting out more Charrock stuff because I can see the viability of Charrocks now that they've dropped these stamina requirements, but for a lot of builds there have been nerfs, especially if you used Hellion. Yeah, those are going to be nerfs, so we're going to have to alter and adjust a few of those builds. But overall, Aether Striker's got massive buffs, and that I think is going to be very interesting to see. And the War Pike as well has also had its fair share of nerfs, so War Pikes will now be set back a little bit, but they will still have very valid builds, so I'm looking forward to those. I think the biggest change is mostly to the wounding War Pikes, so now non-wounding War Pikes are probably going to be front and center, but, well, I'll think about that more as we go along, okay? So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you want to support the channel, you want to keep the content going, don't forget to drop a tip via the link in the description of the video. Don't forget to send super thanks on YouTube. You can become a channel member and receive various perks or purchase Asian Robot merchandise. Up to you. I'm going to go get a fucking nap now because I'm tired, but enjoy this little video. I hope this is helpful to you guys, and let's enjoy 1.84 and Frostwolf.